Alright, off the wrist. Today we're going to take a look at a gun that I think is exceptionally cool. This is, of course, the Springfield Armory M1A and SOCOM 16 version. And I've actually been waiting to get my hands on this gun since I was a young man in my early 20s. It just looks neat. Now, M1A is obviously the trade name that Springfield Armory uses for basically what is a non-select fire M14 pattern rifle. And the M14 itself is kind of a weird duck as far as U.S. military weapons go. It's a gun that when I look at it, I immediately associate with the Korean War. And that's actually a false statement because it didn't see service in the Korean War. That was actually the M1 Garand, same rifle we saw in World War II. Now, the thing about that is basically an M1A or an M14 is a modernized M1 Garand. They obviously shortened the action to go from 30-06 down to 308, made it run off of removable magazines. But John Garand actually had a hand in the design of both these weapons. There's actually a very few pieces and parts from the two of these that will go together, at least from a full-sized M1A. Anyway, so the M14 had a weird service life. In fact, I believe it had the shortest service life of any issue rifle in the U.S. military. It was from about 1958 to about 1968. And while I said that myself, and probably a lot of other people falsely associate the M14 with the Korean War, it actually saw service in the Vietnam War up until about 1968, 1969. So if your father, grandfather, or you fought in Vietnam, especially in the early years, odds are pretty good that you had an M14, not an M16, which is the weapon that we associate with that conflict. Well, the M14 didn't exactly go away either. It's actually seen service all the way from 1958 up through the present. We still see guys rolling around in Iraq and Afghanistan with them occasionally. In fact, I was issued one in the Marine Corps in 2002. That was known as the accurized version, known as the DMR model. So there's still a lot of them out there, and with good reason. Now, there's also not a whole lot of surplus M14s floating around because of some weirdness with the receiver. They had to weld a piece in there to make them not go full auto, and I think they were banned in 1979. So there's not a whole lot of them floating around, which is also why Springfield Armory produces every bit of their M1As in-house. The receivers, the actions, all that stuff are actually built at the Springfield factory. Now, the reason I feel like this gun has survived both in military hands and civilian hands is just the utter reliability of this weapon. It's weird. It's definitely different than things that we normally see today, but there's just something about the action that is hard as a coffin nail. Which, say what you will, there weren't a lot of guys coming back from Korea complaining the rifles didn't work. We wouldn't see that until much later on. So, the SOCOM 16 version is actually a really unique beast in itself. It's actually shortened down to 16 inches, which Springfield Armory, as far as I know, is the only company that's figured out how to do. Because you can't just go changing gas systems willy-nilly and expect something to work. So Springfield Armory actually perfected this system and came out with it about 2004. This model, it's actually got a Picatinny piece here on the rail if you want to forward mount a red dot or a scout scope. It's got a fiberglass stock. As I said, a very shortened barrel. We'll test this out here in a moment, but this is Springfield Armory's own built in-house muzzle brake, and hopefully that'll do a good job of taming the recoil on this. If you haven't shot a lot of 16-inch 308s, a lot of times it's not fun. So there's a lot riding on this muzzle brake being combat effective. And then probably my favorite part of this, rather difficult to see on camera, we actually come out of the box with a tritium front sight post. So I think this gun's going to be cool, but we're going to find out. Now for an ammo sponsor today, we have Spear Gold Dot. So there's a whole bunch of their 150 grain, which I feel like is probably going to be a pretty good choice for this. When the M14 came out, most projectiles were 147, 150 grain. So it makes sense that this would shoot the best off something that's similar to that. I didn't exactly see what the twist rate is on the SOCOM 16 version, but we'll find out here shortly. Now it does kind of break my heart to shoot something as awesome as Gold Dot at just paper and dirt, but we got what we got. These rounds are almost a piece of art in themselves. I got a nickel-coated case, soft tip ammo. So is this an LE round? I have a feeling it's going to run very well today. Alright, so kind of enough monkeying around. Let's get this thing loaded up and see how it shoots. Alright, now, as I said, these 16-inch 308s tend to kick like a mule. So I wanted my first shot to be on camera, so we'll find out. Especially a light gun like this. This fiberglass stock makes this thing very light. So, let's see. That's not bad, actually. Surprising. Alright, so that muzzle brake is really doing its job fantastically. Okay, let's do something more fun. Well, boys and girls, I think I found my new apocalypse gun. Jesus, this thing is fun to play with.